rosemary oil, actually better than minoxidil for hair growth. Today I'm breaking down the real science. The truth, it is not what TikTok tells you.
Hi everyone, my name is Anna and welcome to the Italian Rapunzel. This channel is all about helping you grow healthy, strong and beautiful hair.
In today's video, I will talk about rosemary oil and whether or not it is actually good for hair growth, scalp health and overall hair health. So, as we know, rosemary oil has been getting very popular lately, and they have been comparing it to minoxidil, which is actually a medication for people who are experiencing hair loss that has been proven to actually work. Many people are really claiming and comparing rosemary oil to minoxidil, and they say that it actually works the same way, but it doesn't have side effects. So in today's video, I will go over whether or not rosemary oil it is very similar to minoxidil, whether or not it actually works for hair growth and scalp health, and whether or not it works for people who have experienced hair loss. So let's get into it. We will go over 2 clinical trials in humans. There have been trials in animals as well. However, as we already know, basically trials that have been done in animals not always translate to humans, and so that is why we will go over only on clinical trials that have been done in humans. First of all, why are scientists even interested in rosemary oil? Well, the reason why is because it contains certain compounds like carnosic acid, which basically reduce inflammation and may improve the microcirculation of the hair follicle. So let's go over the first clinical trial that was done in humans in 2015. This study compared rosemary oil to 2% minoxidil, and most people actually use 5%, and 2% has been shown not to actually do much for the hair. That is why doctors do recommend 5% minoxidil. Also, the paper blending / reporting were limited, and the absolute hair count changes were actually very small. Researchers took 100 people with androgenic alopecia, that's basically genetic hair thinning, and splitting them into 2 groups. One used rosemary oil and one used minoxidil 2%. After 6 months, both groups improved the same amount. That sounds exciting, doesn't it? However, here's the catch. So the study had major problems. No placebo group, so we don't know if rosemary actually works or if people were just massaging their scalp. 2% minoxidil is the weakest form, far weaker than 5% most people use today. The study wasn't truly blinded, meaning participants knew what they were using. And get this, the main difference they noted was itching, not actual hair count. So yes, it was a peer-reviewed, but the design wasn't strong enough to make big claims. So yes, it is a peer-reviewed study, but the design, it is not perfect at all, and it shouldn't be making the claim that they're actually making. Now, there is another clinical trial done in human that has been done very recently in 2025, and basically was a double-blind randomized trial where they had a 3-arm placebo, 90 participants, 90 days. So they compared 2 rosemary formulations, rosemary plus lavender and rosemary plus castor versus coconut oil. The headline results is that rosemary blends improved growth rate, thickness and density versus coconut oil, and large percentage changes reported. However, what is the problem with this study? Well, first of all, 90 days, it's a very short period of time. Second, the rosemary oil was combined with other oils, lavender and castor oil. And so how do we know that it was actually the rosemary oil that worked and not the other oils? Also, this study is industry funded, which doesn't necessarily mean that it is not valid. However, we should be very cautious about the results. So here's the truth. Rosemary oil might help maybe just a little bit because it has anti-inflammatory properties. In theory, increases scalp circulation, and in theory, it keeps the hair follicles healthy. However, the research we have, it is literally too small, too short, and too flawed to show that it is even comparable to minoxidil or that it even has any impact on hair growth and hair health. So, bottom line, should you use rosemary oil or should you use minoxidil at all? Well, take into account that if you are going to start using minoxidil, you have to literally use it every day, multiple times a day. And you cannot own pets because it is literally deadly to pets. And so it is a commitment. You may spend a lot of money every month. Uh, I don't know how much it costs. It may be $10 to like 30 to 40, I don't know. But it definitely is an investment. And also the improvements that you see with your hair if you're using minoxidil, it will disappear once you stop using it. So once you buy it, you have to keep buying it and buying it and keep using it until literally you die. Also, does it really make your hair thicker and flawless and whatever they claim? Well, no, it does help if you have hair thinning or hair loss. However, it doesn't change your genetic. It doesn't help, of course, the ends of your hair. You still have to take care of your hair, making sure that you're not harsh with your hair when you brush your hair. You don't brush your hair when it's wet. You don't let your hair air dry. So it is not a magic pill. I actually wanted to buy rosemary oil and do like a 30 days trial and see if I see any difference in my scalp, but honestly, we have such weak research that I'm like, it's not even worth the money, the time, and what if I actually get irritation by it and then my hair gets even worse? So no, thank you. But yeah, this is the end of the episode. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.